So, dear visitors from all over Europe tuning in tonight, welcome to the kickoff of a series of online film screenings that will accompany the Fake or Real exhibition at the House of European History. As announced, the first film will be Czech Dream, Český, a documentary from 2004 by Filip Remunda and Vít Kluzak. The film is indeed a social experiment as much as a documentary, and it tackles issues such as consumerism, capitalism, fake news, human gullibility, and the public's growing distrust in all things political. It is above all a film about selling lies, about selling the fake as the real, and therefore a most appropriate film to open the exhibition. I would love for you all to join us after the film for a discussion with one of the film's two directors, Filip Remunda, who will be joining us. There will be an opportunity to ask questions, should you have any, in a live chat function that will open after the film screening. So please stay tuned for discussion and enjoy the film. Hi, welcome to this after screening talk at the opening of the temporary exhibition Fake For or Real at the House of European History in Brussels. I will now discuss the film Czech Dream, the film you just saw, with one of the film's film directors who is here with us, Filip Remunda. Welcome. We will talk for about 15 minutes, and afterwards we will be glad to take some questions from you, the audience. As we're not gathered here together physically, any questions that you may have need to be asked in the chat function. As time is limited, not all of your questions will make the cut, but I'm counting on your understanding, and I hope that you will enjoy the discussion regardless. Please use the chat function only for questions directed at Filip, questions about the movie, and not to start discussing the film among yourselves. I'm sure that would be very interesting, but it would not be very practical for our purposes here today. So first, I'd like to reintroduce Filip Remunda, the director, one of the directors of the film you just saw. He's a Czech film director and producer. Czech Dream was his first long feature, which was created while he was still a student at Prague's film school FAMU, and it has been screened at festivals worldwide. Since then, he has directed several short and long documentaries, often in collaboration with co-director Vít Kluzak. And they have as recurring themes diverse notions of faith, conviction, doctrines, and human gullibility. As a filmmaker, he's both an observer and a participant to our rapidly changing modern times. He's also the co-founder of the Institute of Documentary Film. So here with us tonight, thank you for joining, Filip. You're the film's director and also, one could say, its star. You star in your own film, but you are no longer in your managerial look. I know there's no longer the slick back hair and the sunglasses, but welcome, of course, here today. My first question to you is what made you and Vít want to tell this story? How did you come up with this concept? What was the film's meaning or urgency for you?
Yes, hello. Thank you for inviting me and screening our film in a frame of your exhibition. I'm very glad that we could participate in such an event. I think it's very relevant for Europe today. We are two directors. Vít Kluzak is not going to take part in this discussion, but he is saying hello to you, everyone. And me and Vít, while we were students of Film Academy, we were thinking about what is supposed to be film. And that was in a time when imagine that Czech Republic, soon before that, used to be Czechoslovakia. And I grew up and I was born and grew up in so-called communist Czechoslovakia. And my relation to world of advertisement was related very heavily to the world of propaganda, the communist propaganda. So imagine shop window, and instead of some commercial slogans, there is a Lenin. You know the pictures of this type, and we were like very much affected by that, and we were drawing, tanks and weapons in school, and some communist holidays as well were also graphically designed by us pupils. So if you grew up in such an environment, and then environment has become slowly be changed for commercial one, and instead of communist propaganda, our walls were absolutely flooded by billboards and TV space and radio space and everywhere. So it was very dramatical changes, and it changed also behavior of people. And when it changed behavior of our friends, and somebody from my mates told me, why not to go to supermarket to do shopping, to do some big grocery there, and to buy yogurts in bulks, I was in shock, and that's actually how the idea was born.
Okay. Do you think it has its meaning or its message changed over the years? Do you think it is more strong than it was even in 2004? I'm asking the question because when I visited Prague the first time, just after the borders had opened up in 1990, it was a very different city from when I visited it 15 years later. The look of it has changed. Has this development, do you think, has it grown? Is it even stronger?
Well, as we are part of your exhibition, and as the Czech Dream is mentioned in various different contexts of fake news and the film travels until today, I think its relevance is there, and it's changing from time and developing in different contexts. So now we can see Czech Dream in a context, not only Czech Republic is joining European Union, but also United Kingdom is leaving European Union, and that is based on something similar what you could see in Czech Dream, because some facts which were giving to UK citizens, they were fake news, and that's why they decided, some of them, to vote for no for Europe, etc. At the time of Czech Dream, when our focus was more about this change of commercial environment in post-communist Czech Republic, people in London during the screening, they immediately mentioned comparison of Czech Dream as a project with weapons of mass destructions never found in Iraq. So for UK people, that was already different context at the time of creating this film, and in each of the country, the context was slightly different, influenced by what was going on at the time in the country. But I think that film has kind of general message and speaks in more contexts than Czech or than in 16 years ago. So that's why probably film is still alive and somehow relevant.
I was also wondering, because the film's title is Czech Dream, is this a film that is just about or typically about the Czech Republic, or is it more universal? As you say that everybody, like people in the UK, they recognized the weapons of mass destruction. Maybe Brexit would be a context now. What makes it more Czech? Why use that title?
Well, it's a metaphor, of course, for American Dream, but it's also kind of like a product of the ethos of nation given by politicians, because there could be also other type of dream than to make fortune and then be happy in US even. And of course, there is this metaphor functioning. That's one. And two is that it was shot in Czech Republic, and we were like making film about desires of Czech citizens, influenced by massive advertising campaigning and influenced by growing up of Superstore, what was at the time of creating this film very new experience for a lot of us, and we only experienced to be waiting during the communist time for some products, which there was not much products in shops, and then we were flooded by products and over flooded by products, and we not only doesn't have to wait in veins to buy some elementary groceries, but we were forced and pushed go there and spend there all weekend. So that was our reaction to that.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering, you probably did you discuss the ethics of the filmmaking with your colleague while you were shooting the film? Because as documentary makers, usually you observe reality, but in your case, you manipulated it, you created certain circumstances. How do you look back on this choice? It's a daring choice, was my impression.
discussed ethic of this film very well with my colleague Vít Klusák, and not only between us two, but also with experts. So we were collaborating with psychologists from military of Czech Republic at the time. So there is a psychologist department connected to the psychologist hospitals and other facilities. And of course, it was a hidden collaboration because they told us they cannot take part officially in any kind of social experiment of this type, but they were like monitoring it in exchange for advices. So we were advising, we were discussing with them not only ethic, coming back to history of pranks and of social experiments, but also security aspects. So we wanted to make it, and this is part of our ethic, we wanted to make the event as much secure as it was possible. So what is not in the film is background that we has had their police officers there officially, they knew about that. We has had there 50 medics to be ready to assist anybody who would be in need. We have had there a lot of water, we were ready to serve them with our assistants. Mm-hmm. And it was very well prepared as kind of like military operation. For the measures of documentary film, that was, from my perspective, the biggest preparation for anything. And more about ethics, I would tell you that we were like stepping in the shoes of managers. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to be, in a way, also like managers are usually kind of like tough. So we took the responsibility on ourselves, and as not like documentary makers typically, but as more like artists, when you are responsible for your art fully, you have to guarantee it through all of your reputation and everything. So we took the risk, and we really wanted to face such a like kind of like bordering experience that was not easy for us, of course not. And we were sure that we have to do everything what is possible to secure people, that nobody will be harmed. What, thanks God, has really happened, and nobody was injured, mm-hmm. Nobody was really harmed. And our assistants, there is one scene in the film where you can indicate that two young people are assisting older lady who is very slowly walking with the help of crutch. And this lady, she were driven home by taxi with the assisting people, and we drive home a few more people. So, but we also wanted to display in the film that situations like this appeared, that it is not easy to organize such an event. So we wanted to openly also show that that was kind of dramatic even for us, and it was not easy, of course, to face some elderly people, but we hope, and from reactions we learned that at least for some of them, it was not only negative experience. Some of them send us later some letters or some to television. They are used to communicate with the screen and sending written letters on paper. So from their reactions, even from older people, we knew that they got it as a message.
Yeah. Also. Yeah. Well, did you sometimes feel guilty, or some people cynical maybe, or arrogant? I've read that in reviews that it's an arrogant thing to do, to fool innocent people. Was it something that you considered beforehand, or how do you respond to such allegations? Maybe you think it's not very well thought through, or have you had this kind of criticism directed at you both?
I took it as a part of the project, I must say. I was kind of prepared. And a lot of articles has been published right after the grand opening of Czech Dream in Czech Republic, more than 160 articles. And most of them, maybe 90%, they were very critical, without any investigation, what is idea behind the prank. Mm-hmm. And that was very tough time for us to, be defending the project and explaining it. And also we experienced the simplification of difficult project into something what was not that difficult and what looked for first sight very simple. Two irresponsible students of film school cheated old people with some diseases or disabilities, and they just wanted to make joke of them. Mm-hmm. So that was, from my perspective, very like short-sighted description of the project. Because, for example, foreign media, like journalists from UK and from countries who are more used to for pranks and for public space artistic interventions, they were more analytically considering the project as a part of the world art kind of movement, and they were like asking us, are you continuation of situationists movement started their art in Italy long time ago, and they were like putting it immediately into the context. And later on, MoMA Gallery in New York, they took it as a part of their exhibition, and they bought a film for the permanent exhibition, etc. So in world context, it was more accepted as art, whereas in Czech Republic, where journalists and critics, they were not ready for such provocations. Mm-hmm. They described it very simply. And later on, because we were working in editing room on assembling the film, so the premiere was right after 1 year after the grand opening. Also, the Czech journalist has be more analytical, and today it is upside down. I remember there was a festival of European film in India, and Czech ambassador to New Delhi picked this film to represent Czech Republic in a frame of European culture in India, and experiences of this kind we experience more than only one. So from time-wise, it is now absolutely different, and even in Czech vocabulary there exists expression Czech Dream. Some journalists using it as when they would like to mark some bad political game.
Okay. I have a question for you from the audience, actually, a question that was asked through the chat function. So the question is, was the idea to make a movie out of this experiment there from the beginning?
Sorry, can you say it again, please?
The question is of the idea to make a movie out of this social experiment, was it there from the beginning?
Yes. Actually, we were inspired by event done by two artists in Czech Republic, and they did something similar in very, very limited scale. So they changed several posters in Prague public transport. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, there was my son interfering into this discussion. I'm sorry for that. I love him, but I need to be concentrated. So there was this piece of art, and that was actually a very first meeting between me and Vít at our film faculty. That after the workshop with Karel Vachek, Czech film director, we were going out of the school together, and he was telling me about this prank of these two conceptual artists. That they changed few posters, invited people for grand opening of supermarket, and then they collected about 3 cars or 6 families in the middle of nowhere. They were looking for a shop, and there was a table stating, "Isn't it better to have short walk in woods?" ? And I was happy about such a project. And I told to Vít, I remember it like today, I told him, "Isn't this idea for film?" He says, "Oh wow, yes, it is." So then we were working on script, and contrary to this project, which was more focused only for this final event, when people will face nothing and they will read some funny message. We wanted to be more analytical. We wanted to cooperate with real people from the industry. We wanted to investigate on the world who are the people who are actually dealing with our brains, who are the manipulators. And that's why we asked one of the biggest advertising company, and that's how it was all developed until the size of Czech Dream. And of course, we also wanted to flood Prague streets with billboards and city lights, and we had some broadcasting in Czech television, in radios. So we wanted to really make massive, heavy campaign to simulate the real opening of supermarkets.
I have another question also in the chat function. The question is, what did you do about the fact that people were mad at you for fooling them afterwards?
Like, we were following the advices of military experts. One of them was to play our anthem, Czech Dream anthem, all the way around, because that was music tuned to calm people down. So that was one advice. Other advice that our volunteers, they were picking stones from the field, for example. So still few of them remained, and they were used, fortunately, not against us, but against billboard.
Mm-hmm.
We were also saved, I think, by cameras, because, as also psychologists told us, people's behaviors is very much affected by the fact of anonymity. Mm-hmm. And since they were eyewitnessing that there is like several film crews with cameras and microphones, it was more difficult for them to be aggressive. And we had also volunteers in between the crowd, and they were trained that in fact that there would be like one very aggressive person taking the attention of the others, because it could be like chain reaction. The volunteer's role was to destroy this hysteria. Mm-hmm. Say, for example, over there, like, look at there is something happening. So they were also trained. But thanks God, in Czech Republic, not real aggression has happened in reality. And we pass it with no harms. But by heart, I should tell you that I was, of course, scared.
Yeah. I can imagine, but you didn't hire a bodyguard or somebody to actually really.
Yeah, we had 50 bodyguards. I forget to tell you. We hired from the budget of film like 50, like, guys like this to protect not only us but mm-hmm. also film technique and mm-hmm. people. That was very important for us. That there really nothing like riot going to happen, and that. Mm-hmm. That was very, because imagine that end result would be affected by somebody would be transferred to hospital in ambulance, and then all film has different ending and different scope, how to be understood. So we were like really working hard to avoid any situation of this type. But as I told you, my experience from London, like my experience from first screening in Moscow, was that Russian people told us, how the hell they didn't kill you? Like here, no question. So every country has its own special dynamics, I would say.
Yes, probably. In Russia, you would have been lynched. That's what they basically told you.
And in the United States, we would have been lynched by lawyers.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for mentioning that, because there was another question from somebody in the audience who wonders if anyone has ever filed official complaints against you or anyone involved in the making of the film, or if somebody has tried to take you or somebody else to court over this prank.
Yes, some attempts show up during the aftermath of Czech Dream project, not film. And nothing really sued us at the end. Mm-hmm. But that was discussed in Parliament, and that was subject of interpellations of communist MP, especially communists were strongly against it, that we wanted to show up something about mm-hmm. Old good capitalist commercial world, and communists were against it. And some other MPs were interpellating at the time Minister of Culture how it was possible to support such a project. Then they were also addressing Czech TV as a public broadcaster. What was your role? How was it possible to support such a project? So it was not easy to deal with aftermath of the grand opening. And it took not only us, but Czech television as well, and Minister of Culture, another, I think, half year to defend the project. And there's one very picturesque information, important to say, that we were actually at the end suing one political party at the time, most powerful one, Civil Democrats, for misleading or misusing our graphic design, because they used the flyer of Czech, and instead of products, they placed the heads of politicians.
Yes.
And said, this is harming author rights. We are very sorry, we have to sue you, and we have to ask you to pay some money in reward.
Okay.
And we won the case, and they paid to us. So it's good success.
Okay, that's good. But did you consider the legal aspects indeed of this prank beforehand? Because you have the big, you made sure you worked with it was a safe event, but was it something that you considered beforehand that it might become something that you have to defend yourself in a legal?
Yeah. We were really like developing it for 2 years, and although we were very young and non-experienced, and everything was for us very new, we had a very good lawyer, Dr. Myslilova. I still remember her name, and she were really like nice and tough and advising us very well. And also we were like protecting ourselves while founding film production company called Hypermarket Film Ltd. And we found it solely for the purpose of one film project. And since this company was not at the time destroyed by lawyers of our customers, but survived, we kept the company, and now company is producing film in world and European level, and it's functioning. But we were ready to have it in limited company, and that was the solution, that we will not end up in debts.
Very impressive preparations. Somebody wonders, there were many people that involved in the experiments, the professionals, the advertising people, the people from your crew. Was there any leak at any time? Did everybody keep silent about the prank or the experiment?
Not really. We have like security rules that we have like circle of people who knew the very truth, the very end, and we have a second circle of people who knew we are making film based on something like this, but that for them there was no grand opening, and circle were people just supplying us with some services. Although, of course, with major players like with advertising company or with this fashion photographer, Mr. Shetlik, we had to tell them the truth and the very true, and we asked them to be, with us till the very end and keep it as a secret.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, no one really broken the secret till the end. Although we had some fights or argumentations with people from advertising company, and they were like telling us, we will send it to journalists if you will not do this and that. And then we organized meeting of their lawyer and our lawyer, and somebody from Ministry of Culture also intervened, and we somehow balanced it. But I think that also it is a product of its time. And today, in the time of social media, it would be not possible to keep the secret till the end.
Yes. One wonders. That was an interesting part in the film where you show the discussions that you have, the arguments that you have with the advertising people who are very enthusiastic in the beginning. Yes, we can sell something that doesn't exist. But then their attitude changes while they're working on the whole project. They become a bit more, they have ethical problems suddenly, or they start wondering, this is an interesting, I think, dramatic arc in your film, because it makes it more, you start wondering, will they pull this off? Was this something you had expected? Was it surprising? How did you deal with that?
Like, when we were like with them for quite a long time together. And we've seen and experienced their, so to say, kitchen. So for me, it was not that surprising that they would be like this. And that's because they also deal with ethics. And there is beautiful part of the film, at least for me, when they are comparing ethics of filmmaking and advertising, and they see that filmmaking is wrong and advertising is always okay because they never lie. And this is the key moment of the film for me, because they have some workbooks or rules or ethical codex helping them somehow to digest the fact that they are actually lying all the time. But the explanation is we are not lying, because everything what is in advertising product of any form must be true. We are just, and I would like to add, they are just not adding important information. So from the spectrum of all information, they would pick up like this washing powder is the best, but they would never tell you that actually this will destroy 1,000 liters of water. They would never speak about phosphates. They would never speak about externalities in car industry production. They would never speak about environmental aspects of some products. They will always tell you, buy me, and you will feel better because you desire it. Like, you are so beautiful person, you desire that somebody take care, and my company is taking care of you. So in exchange for some 100 euros, you can be happy, without notioning that as a part of this terrible phone device, there are some coltans and other metals which has been digged in Africa, and a lot of people suffered because of my pleasure, etc., etc. So that's why this is a key part of the film for me. And I think audience or viewer could think about the ethics of filmmaking, or somebody who's in a search for truth, and somebody who's hiding the truth in order to manipulate your brain to have desire to buy something or to do something. And I think it's very visible in today's world when we grounded a lot of planes and we are not more dreaming about where we will be spending our Christmas holidays. We are more grounded, all of us, and we have more time to think about actually the reality of this hurry up world which we experienced years ago, and which the different world which we are experiencing today. And I hope that we can somehow learn something positive out of this difficult experience.
Mm-hmm. They were never lying, of course, but they were not telling the whole truth, indeed. That's what we noticed. That was really what the scene told us. Another question from the audience, Filip. The question is, did the fact that you directed Czech Dream, did it have a specific impact on your later works or your career as a filmmaker? How did it affect you as your later career?
I would say yes, because that was our successful graduation film project, and it's always important to be kicked off to the world with something coming out of school which would make some resonance. So this film definitely has made some resonance. Mm-hmm. And since that, we were running this film production company, Hypermarket Film, and we were like producing film. Some film we were directing together with Vít. Some we were cooperating as producers, and Vít made several films without me. I've made several films without him. And later on, we also decided to be producing films of the people we respect. So recently, our company is co-producing film of respected Russian film director Vitaly Mansky, and it's a no less than portrait of Mikhail Sergeyevich Gorbachev. So, so soon in ITFA Film Festival in Amsterdam, not far away from Brussels, there is going to be world premiere of new portrait, which will give you absolutely closed feeling to spend hour and a half with somebody who changed the history and who changed the Europe and who helped us and saved us from, weapon race, etc. And that is Mikhail Gorbachev. So this is also part of the outcomes which started with producing and directing Czech Dream. So now we are making more films, and we are glad that we actually can do this. Mm-hmm.
It's a career-making movie, indeed. I have another question from the audience. So the scenes in which we see you arguing and having the discussions with the advertising professionals, are they real, or did you reenact them, or maybe make them up? What is the degree of reality there?
So it's a very good question. And a lot of people were asking us, because the concept of the film is based on prank, like what is reenact or act in the film and what is real. and I would like to make everybody sure that everything except the conceptual ending is very real. It is very real, and some of the scenes were shot without me or we being presented on the set, because in one time I remember that we really made pissed off guys from advertising company, and then they argue heavily, and then we were pissed off himself, and he left. And I stood there with camera, but I thought that in such a dramatic setup, I should keep the camera rolling. And actually, in this moment, they told me very true about their feelings, about how is it great feeling to go to the pub with friends and know that actually I am one who is moving the world. That's happened after very dramatic situation and dynamic between us filmmakers and people from the advertising company, and maybe that's why it is so honest, because it was really shot in some emotional moment.
Yes, it does feel honest, and they were all okay with that, it being part of the movie, because that could have been something that they might think odd or not like.
They had a great feeling that they have nothing to hide. So they're sure that they are not lying, they are doing honest, professional jobs, and that's why they had no problem to show it up. And of course, they wanted to show up how good they are in writing and graphic designing, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you and Vít Klusak, you made something of it's not a follow-up film, but it's called Czech Peace. And I've read that you want to make even a third movie, like a trilogy. Is there an interconnected meaning in these different projects? Why do you bring them together, or could we consider them a trilogy?
Like aesthetically or structurally, we wanted to make completely different film. In a case of Czech Peace, it is a story of building the military base when United States, they asked government of Czech Republic if we could be part of missile defense program of United States. And the fact that actually Czech government have chosen the spot in Czech Republic, not far away from Prague, what used to be Soviet occupatory military base. This made us interested in the story, and also the fact that people were divided, like we are all divided in today's Europe or in the United States. So people at that time were divided for first time in Czech Republic, for those who thought that this is a great idea because this would protect us from imperialistic Russia, and other half of the people, or maybe more people, were against it because they thought that George W. Bush international or foreign policy is dangerous and that they just doesn't want to be part of these wars. And in such a political debate, and debate also hit the streets in demonstrations and protests, we wanted to document it. And where I'm heading is that actually, that at the beginning we wanted to make different film that Czech Dream was, more like observational, that we will be observing one type of people and other type of people, and that will be the drama. At the end, it has some element of Czech Dream, because Czech government hired advertising company or PR company, and this PR company, they were working on, some stories for people, well packed, and we were like witnessing that actually there is some kind of propaganda going on, and also there was going on probably propaganda coming from Kremlin, from Russia. So again, that was similar situation to Czech Dream.
Okay. I think there is one final question, but it hasn't reached me yet. So I'm just going to be a bit cheeky and ask you about your potential final project. Is that something that is in the works, the third Czech film? Do you know what it could be about? Is this something that you've been discussing?
Yeah, actually, we are releasing soon in the Czech Republic new film. What is again collaboration between Vít Klusák and me. And this film is not shot in Czech Republic. It is shot in Poland. And the title of film is Once Upon a Time in Poland. And it is a story of Czech documentary film crew are covering God in Poland, so to say. And it is all started with the fact that actually in Poland, people or society is very much Catholic. There you can say that there is 95% of Catholics in Poland, and people in Poland are very religious, and church has very strong impact to Polish society or to society in Poland. Whereas in Czech Republic, there is a lot of atheists. And we have strong division of state and church, and we are very proud of that. Since the forming of Czechoslovakia, we formed Protestant church called Czechoslovak Husit Church, etc. So we are different than people in Poland, and this fact we wanted to use to make film about what does it mean to be living without God and with God, and we wanted to investigate on that. And it turned again into the kind of situation like Czech Dream. The government during the 5 years of shooting changed in Poland, and there is now, I think I can say, kind of like extremist government changing, directors of public state televisions, changing people in theaters, influencing not only political situation but also artists, and limiting freedom. And today we can see people in Poland are protesting for female rights, etc. So actually our film turned to be, from the contemplating film about religion, again film about political marketing and propaganda. So as a result of this discussion, we can say that me and Klusák, we are very much sensitive about any type of manipulation, about any type of marketing or programming our brains. We would like to resist to that. We would like not to be zombies controlled by any television channel. And I don't know why, but our films are from like 17 years ago until today, or tomorrow's premiere in festival in Jihlava of this film Once Upon a Time in Poland, they are very much dealing with the issues of manipulation.
I have a question from the audience, another one. I'll quote: "I think the film is an excellent portrayal of human nature in terms of how people deal with expectations and disappointment. Have you known of the use of the film in training, for instance, for psychologists? So do you know that maybe your film is shown to training psychologists or people studying to become a psychologist?"
Yes, because from some discussions we know that the film was, for example, also shown in a frame of some psychologist congress. So there is a huge congress and people are reading their papers there for scientific reasons. Nobody really understands what is going on. And they are using like educational or discussion-provoking tool, Czech Dream. So it is just nice to hear that. But also we've heard that actually our film is being used in classes in economical faculties for marketing, So.
Yeah. Yes, it is a very good example. You learn a lot.
Funny bystander. You know what was funniest experience? I was at the time after the premiere in UK in London, and then BBC called me. "Hello, this is BBC. Would you like to comment the situation in IKEA Edmonton?" I said, "IKEA what?" "Well, IKEA Edmonton has grand opening and they offer sofa for £20 actually, and people were forcing with knives, fighting with knives in order to be first to be able to buy IKEA sofa for £20, So I become expert for grand opening supermarkets or this kind of bizarre event. But this is great documentation actually when we come back for ethical sides of our project, What is, where is ethic in grand opening in IKEA in Edmonton in United Kingdom, offering 2 pieces of sofa for £20 and make people, wait for it through all the whole night and then make them fight and then record it to camera and they have promotion campaign for free. Like, where is ethic in such a campaigning? So that's probably my answer. Like, I see more ethical values in our project than in grand opening of any IKEA or any other supermarket anywhere in the world.
Filip, I would like to thank you very much for this conversation, for all your very interesting thoughts. I don't think there are any more questions from the audience, but this is, well, it was a wonderful kickoff to the screening, and I wish we could, I'm really looking forward to your next film, actually. So I'm looking forward to that Polish experiment. I hope it's, from what you told me, I think it's also a film about filmmaking, in a sense.
It is. I will send you a link, and
great. Thank you so much.
Let's remain in contact, and thank you for the invitation. And I wish you good luck for your exhibition. Thank you very much.
Pass that on to the curators. Thank you so much for this discussion, and I hope to speak to you again sometime in the future.